All right, so we are starting a new sentence, which means we're starting a new subject to study. We have done seven different lessons already in our grammar workshop. We've talked about capital letters. Names have capital letters. We've talked about capitalizing days or names of months. We've talked about capitalizing the titles of written work. We've talked about using nouns to paint a picture for readers. We've talked about capitalizing proper nouns, which are names of specific items. We've talked about using plural nouns to set a number. And then last week we started talking about verbs to show action. Yes, Evie?
Is that an
Actual sentence. I know it's a short one this week, but there's lots to notice about this sentence. So take a few minutes and look at the sentence. To look at the sentence and to notice some things. Don't put your hands up yet, we're just noticing. All right, now you can put your hands up. What do you notice about this sentence? Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Oh.
That. Okay. Sorry about that technical difficulty. So what do you notice? Naoto, what do you notice about the sentence?
At the end of the huge, there's an exclamation point.
All right, we have an exclamation point here.
It means like hippos are huge.
It tells us how to read the sentence. Very good, Naoto. Jack, what do you notice?
Capital letter at the start.
We have our capital letter at the beginning of the sentence. And why is that capital letter important, Jack?
To know that it's starting a sentence.
It's telling us that starts a new sentence. Nora? The sentence is short. So the sentences that we've been reading have been longer. This one is short. Do you suppose the author did that on purpose? Sometimes do we write short sentences? And sometimes we write long sentences. And it has an effect on how the reader reads a piece of text. Jack, what else do you notice? Not Jack. Jacob.
It's the same thing as the title. It's the same sentence as the title.
Okay, so this so I don't know you, but I always think it's really interesting to see how authors come up with sentence. Back up. You're too close. In the book, it's like, oh, that's where they got the title. What is this?
It's trying to give us information about that.
Okay, it's giving us information. It's from Hippos Are Huge.
That's the title.
So it seems to be from an informational text because it's telling us some information about hippos. Brennan?
There's an S after hippos, so it means that it's more than one hippo. It's a plural noun. Oh yeah, not just one hippo.
That's right. It tells us that it's talking about more than one hippo. It's a plural noun. Michael?
Do we have this book in our class?
No.
Oh, and it sounds like it could sound very enthusiastic, like.
And what tells us that it's
It
enthusiastic?
could be like hippos are huge.
And what tells us that?
It could the exclamation point.
Right?
And the yeah. Yeah.
Cole?
It shows hippos are huge is the same as this, but this is a little more like tilted.
Right, because that's the title.
Yeah.
So we
The title.
so we know that this is the title because it's italicized, and if we were writing it with our pencils, what would we do to it?
Put a line.
We'd underline it. All right, Julia.
Huge is the verb in this sentence.
Is huge in action? Can you huge?
No, but then what's the verb?
You know what? That is an excellent question. Does anybody have an idea to answer Julia's question? Julia knows that the sentence has to have a verb.
What?
And so she was guessing that it was huge, but you can't huge. Nora, what's the verb?
What's the actual?
What, huge? Huge is an adjective
Yeah, that's what I thought.
because it's describing the hippos.
You can't do Is R?
Luke, what do you think?
R.
R is the verb. And okay, here's
What? Yeah, you can.
you can't.
Like no. Oh, like a pilot.
No. It's our focus this week.
R? What?
What, Evie?
She has 2 syllables.
It is 2 syllables. This to tell it like it is. Are, was, were, be, been, and am. These are special verbs. They're called being verbs. So, if you have a sentence like, I am frustrated that I keep getting marker all over myself.
Are you?
Am is the verb. We use these verbs to show things that we are or that we were. They show a state of being. I am happy today. Julia is paying attention. Oh, no, that's a link. That makes it a linking verb, but it's still part of the verb. Elle is quiet today.
Yes. Doesn't that make it a linking verb?
No, because quiet is an adjective. So the state of being verbs connect us with usually an adjective. And they work in a way to tell us you use these verbs when it's not an actual active verb. So, I am hungry. So if we have something like, I am hungry, what would that change to in this sentence? Brennan, what? I am hungry. Brennan is hungry.
Are you?
Here's the tricky one.
Is very
The boys Now, are
I think
hungry.
That looks like an
that looks like hangry.
Well, sometimes
Is when it isn't when you have like a plural noun. Is that when you put R in the sentence?
yes.
Or your
When it's plural, when the subject is plural, we have that plural noun. We have to use R to match. Brennan, how many Brennans are there?
Brennan
One.
Well, in the whole entire universe.
In our class, Brennan is. One person is. But I is only one person. Why can't I say I is hungry?
You sound like a caveman.
Right? It's not proper.
I is hungry.
It's not proper grammar, right? It doesn't sound right. That's not the way we speak. Breeden, you have a comment.
Whenever there's one person that you're saying, you do is, but when there's more than one, you do all.
Right. Unless you're speaking about yourself and you're using the pronoun I, then it's am. What if we were saying this was true yesterday, but it's not true now? Yesterday I
Was. Or were.
right? I was hungry. Brennan was hungry.
The boys were hungry.
You guys are awesome here.
Why Brennan?
The boys
Listen,
were hungry.
I noticed something.
What'd you notice, Jacob?
It has to be hungry.
Well, you know what? I'm just using that as an example.
They are thirsty.
All right. So when does this action take place?
Now.
Now. And this action? Past. All right. Yes, Carly.
If it was kind of mixed up and it said Brennan are hungry or the boys is hungry, it's like it sounds. It's not possible.
You know what? And this is something you can do when you're writing. It's something that I do when I'm writing. When you're writing and you're just not sure if something is right,
You have to edit it.
you can read what you wrote quietly out loud to yourself. And the thing is that we can hear errors in speech. We pick up on them when we hear them a lot better than when we're just looking at our own writing. And that's partially because our brains are a little tricky. And when we write something, our brains know what we want it to say, so sometimes we don't know what. And for me as an adult writer, I go back and I read out loud when I think something might not be just right. You can do that too, because when you go back and you read it out loud, you'll hear the missing commas, you'll hear the missing periods, you'll hear the wrong verb conjugation. Yes, Jack?
Brennan are hungry would kind of make sense if it would make sense if you put S.
If there were multiple Brennans.
Brennan's are.
Duh, but we'd say probably like if I said in here, the Jacks like to play football, right? There's multiple Jacks. Give me 5. All right. So, our focus sentence, like I said, our focus sentence for this week is I use verbs to tell it like it is. Are, was, were, be, been, am. So we're really going to be talking about those being verbs this week. All right. I'd like for you guys to all go back to your seat. Carly or Nora will be writing our